Okay, folks, just a little bit of housekeeping. So in terms of formats, this first section with Dan and Andy is live content, radio, TV, online, written. And then Dan is going to lead us and hit the other bits and pieces. And then that second section is just written word only. Okay, so it's not being recorded.
Did you mean we're going to even do some of the bits and doing some of the back or something? How you doing? Is it?
Hello.
How you doing?
13 changes to Housing 15. Can you give us a sense of the changes that you've made, and is it just a case of trying to get minutes in as many players as possible?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, it lends its hand, doesn't it, to the way that the season finished out and where players are at, and trying to get people up to speed as quick as we can. So a lot of people get their opportunity to not just play the first game on tour, but quite a few of them as well. I think 9 of them get to play for the Lions for the first time.
Congratulations to Dan, who will captain the side. When you look at the talent and the leadership that you have within that side, can you tell us why it is that you feel that Dan is the man for the job, and what that says about him?
Well, it says a lot about him, obviously, because you don't make these decisions lightly. To have the special honour to captain the British and Irish Lions must be amazing for Dan and his family. You know, they must be bursting with pride, but it's well earned, obviously, and you know, he will 100% do the job justice by just being himself. You know, I know for a fact that whatever he asks the players to do, it won't be empty words. There'll be stuff that he's willing to do himself. I know that the responsibility as well will make him a better player, because that's the type of character he is, and he's a calming type influence who understands what pressured situations really look like at this type of level. So all those things put together is why he's sat at the side of me.
You spoke post-match about the hunger and the error rate in that speech to Japan. Can you give us a sense of how everyone's responded to that, and what you've seen this week?
Well, we'll see on Saturday how we responded. I suppose the guys that are taking the field this week are a little bit fortunate in the sense that they understand how we want to get better. They've got to take responsibility for that and grab a hold of their chance to make sure that they take this team forward. But yeah, I mean, you know, disappointed to lose any game. I hate losing, so does everyone else, and that's why they're in this position in the first place. But there are plenty of positives to go with that, but it's taking the learnings, isn't it, and how we keep pushing forward right up until that first test.
You're pushing forward, looking ahead to Western Force. Can you tell us a bit about the challenge that you think they're going to present?
Well, the side's a great side, full of Australians that have been, full of plenty of Australians that are in the here and now, and people with the ambition to be future Australian test players. So, and also, you know, the realisation that it doesn't really matter who we come up against. I think we've all seen the improvement over the last couple of years, and certainly this season, as far as the Force are concerned. I think that goes across the board in Australian Super Rugby in general, anyway. But I think, you know, if we analyse those type of performances and think that's what's coming our way, I think we'll be a little bit shocked, because, you know, it's a huge occasion for the Force as it is for us. So we expect the performances to be up another 25-30% anyway.
6 Wallabies will feature in that side. Does it matter to you how many of them are released or how many of them are involved?
Well, you look at the side, and it's a good side. I mean, for me, I've got enough on my plate, making sure that we deal with ourselves, certainly at this period of the early stages of the tour. So I understand your question, but I'll allow the powers that be, who know all the answers to the what ifs, etc. Get on with that.
Just finally, for me, Dan, can you just tell us a bit about how it feels for you to be asked by Andy to captain this side?
Yeah, it's obviously a massive privilege and honour. Start of the week, I was just focusing on doing everything I can to put on a red jersey for the first time, and I think that obviously you look around the room and there's so many individuals that are more than capable than captaining this team, and that's something that probably eases the nerves a little bit. That the amount of people around me that I don't have to make it much difficult. I just need to be myself, do what I usually do, and that's why I'm here in the first place. So it's a massive honour, obviously. That phone call back home was something special, and I think they're gutted that they can't be here, and they're missing the first few games. But
they're not here.
I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up. But
I know, I wouldn't be surprised neither.
Yeah, I was just on the phone to him today. I knew I wasn't able to speak to him too early in the week, but
why? Because they blub it.
They make it too big. I don't like too big. No, I'm just. No, I gave him a text, but I didn't want to call him. But no, it's just I'm quite a chill person. I feel like I have a good understanding on who I am and what sort of excites me, and I just sort of let these things happen in a weird way. I know that sounds almost like you sat back, but I just don't overthink it really. And as I said, I think Saturday is something I was just focused on trying to get on the pitch, and sort of the prep during the week was just trying to be the best version of myself. And with the added role of being captain, I don't think it changes that much, and I just bring the boys with me. And
see, you can see now, can you?
And I'll just let it happen.
Andy, how are Sheehan and Jamison Gibson Park getting on in terms of?
Very well, and all being well, should be fit for the Reds game.
Good stuff. In terms of this team, 11 Irish players in the 23. How beneficial is that kind of understanding of each other, and I suppose what you will want from them as well?
Well, I suppose for us all now. I mean, we've only been together for a few weeks, but that's it's almost not even relevant to us, because it's not what we see or how we see it. It just happens to be that way as far as the numbers are concerned, etc. I suppose if you look at that, there are key positions out there that's not played together before, so all of that makes it interesting for us to see how cohesive we can be as a whole.
And Finn Russell and Henry Pollock both getting a start. What have you asked from those guys?
I don't need to ask them to do anything but to be themselves. That's why they're selected. They understand how we're going to play, how we want to play, how they want to play, how they get their own points of difference out there, because that's why they're selected as well. So they're as excited as everyone else is.
Congratulations. How valuable do you think that experience of captain Ireland as well as the Six Nations will be for you over the next player?
Yeah, that was obviously something that I'll lean on in that experience that week, and that was a tough game for us. Really tough test game that we probably made hard work of at the time, but valuable lessons at how we approached that half time, and I think the calmness we showed at times, just when you're in a tricky situation, just to stick to the process and trust that it'll work for you. But yeah, obviously I don't have a whole lot of captaining experience, but I'll just lean on the lads who do, and I'm not going to be alone up there by myself. So there's plenty of people that'll chirp up and take the lead as well along with me. So I think it's obviously a big part of that experience will help me, but not everything at the same time.
It's amazing achievement given 51 weeks ago. This month, I don't know if it crossed your mind at this point that happened because of the injury. I know from where you were at that moment in Pretoria to where you are now. You must be very proud of the fact that you got back the way you have.
Yeah, obviously when it happened at first, media thought was timelines and will things match up and can I get back, but very quickly I was sort of just stick to process, trust the medical team, trust people around me, do what I do, show up, do the work, and it all came good, didn't have any setbacks, and then you're just back into the swing of things straight away, and you're chipping away with Leinster, you're chipping away with Ireland, and looking at the bigger picture things, team sort of mindset rather than individual. You get out of your own way a little bit, and then you're here and crack into the weekend. Let's see what happens.
Probably beyond a bit of leadership experience and guidance for you.
Bobby. I don't know. He's only focused on relegation battles, so hopefully not. Yeah, like Bobby's obviously been a big part of my upbringing, and you know, he's straight on the phone as well, excited for the whole thing, and he's good as he can't get out to support me. But you know, I have a lot of people in behind me who are phones blowing up now, which I'm going to ignore for the next couple of days. But that's all part of it.
And there's a story from Book India today says it's going to be quite serious if he reckons that the Wallabies have the better athletes. What are your thoughts on that?
You would expect Will to say that. He's always going to back his own countrymen. If he didn't, that would be a story, wouldn't it? So I get all that. It's going to be constant, isn't it? People backing their own, and that's how it should be.
What do you think in terms of the statement itself? Who do you think?
Well, he knows the Australian players probably better than me, because he's probably played with most of them, so he's obviously very impressed by them. But I suppose he's not been in our camp neither, so it's very hard to judge, isn't it? Unless you've been in both sides.
Yeah, and you'll have seen in the few minutes their reaction to beating the Lions and what it meant, this kind of incredible emotion. Could you talk a little bit about what you've learned about the size of the target on your back and what beating the Lions means to these teams?
Yeah, I think it's important to know where the opposition's mindset is, and how they approach a game that only comes around every 12 years, like the Western Force. So I'm sure they'll be 150% of what they usually are, and they'll be flying into it. So we need to make sure that we start well, start strong, start physically, and just sort of not be shocked by anything that you mightn't have seen it in tapes of what they're able to produce, but I'm sure that bit of extra hunger can produce some powerful things. So we don't want to look too much into them, but we have to understand their mindset, and then it's straight back to our own mindset. And my first time putting on a jersey, hopefully, and along with a few other lads. So you kind of dip in and out of it, but at the end of the day, it's all about us.
You can't underestimate obviously the red jersey means everything to you guys, but it means an awful lot to the other guys down the other end of the park as well.
100%. Like they would have been eyeing this game up since they probably first stepped into that Western Force change room. They eyeing up this game down the line, and it'll mean an awful lot to them. I think it'll hopefully mean an awful lot more to us to go out there on Saturday, and hopefully a big crowd, a lot of people travelling over. So I'm looking forward to the game, but I don't want them to think that they're going to be hungrier than us.
Have you been able to watch much of the Western Force this year in Super Rugby, and if so, what have you noticed about it?
To be honest, throughout the year, no, you have a lot of things on your plate to be focusing on individual teams, and obviously the way the season went on quite long for us. So in that sense, it was kind of focusing on the here and now during the season, and then sort of flipping the page this week when we had our first sort of full week of prep, especially for us lads who just came in. So there's only so much you can take in a week. We obviously pick out the strong bits and the most important bits, but a lot of it is obviously down to our prep and getting everyone sort of on the same page. So obviously we know they're a physical team, good line out, great sort of breakdown pressure, good line, or a lot of breakdown threats. So off the back of last week, we have a few things to work on around our breakdown and line out. So two areas that we definitely need to focus on.
And is there any of these Lions that, not in terms of the players they are, but you know all about that, but in terms of the personalities they are, that has surprised you? Have you learned anything new about the type of guys you've got in your squad?
I wouldn't say surprised me, because I suppose I would have been surprised back in the day, probably the first time I was involved in the Lions, but I wouldn't say that anything would surprise me at this stage. I mean, it's amazing just how quickly these guys not just respect each other, or not just trying to help each other to become a better player, a better teammate, a better team, therefore, but how quickly they gel as genuine friends, and you could already see that tightness. And it would be amazing for people from the outside to come in and witness how quickly that works, but it's just part of the Lions' way of being.
So let's finish the last one, please. Yeah.
Is there any danger, Andy, that they wanted so much, that they want to win this series.
Well, no, that
that they almost wanted too much. Is there any danger of that?
well, that's desperation, and that's what we don't want, because desperation leads to people being distorted in the way they go about the game.
Okay, guys, we shut this down now. Dan, you
I'm out.
Sorry, man.
You guys all good to go?
So I can turn the phone off.
Yeah. Ellie, you kick us off?
Hi, how are you?
I'm above average, thank you.
I know you've got plenty of experience with the British Maritimes, but can you just give us a sense of how you found joining up with this group and starting this course so far?
Yeah, it's a pretty fresh group. There's a lot of lads I wouldn't have met before, obviously just played against. So it's like any time you meet up, it's always great crack. It's something different, and I've really enjoyed it so far.
Anyone that you particularly enjoyed getting to know that you already sort of finished on?
Probably hard to single anyone out really. It's a good mix of lads, you know. Been room with a lot of the props. I've room with Genji in London, and a room with Will Stewart now, so it's been good.
And in terms of your experience, I wonder, are you able to enjoy it more this time? Do you come into it kind of with a different approach, having been there and done it before?
Yeah, like I think the last tour is kind of one kind of sits on its own for different reasons. Obviously, I look back at. I know we're not into the kind of meat and veg of this tour yet either, because we're not on the road a whole heap yet. But I probably look back at that New Zealand tour, and you're sort of young and you're trying to find your feet and find your way, and a lot of nerves and a little bit of performance anxiety maybe over in New Zealand, where I suppose I'm 32 now. You've a better understanding how I work and what I need to get out of training to get into a game. So probably a little bit more confident in my abilities coming to this one.
And I just want to ask you a little bit about Dan, if that's okay. We were talking to him about the captaincy, and Andy was saying you can see why I've selected him, because he just seems totally unfazed by it.
Yeah, I probably feel the same about him. I'll be captained by him at club level as well, and he's I suppose knowing Dan, he doesn't overthink it a whole lot, and he always plays well, and I think he takes to it, and I think he has the respect of the group, and I think he talks amongst the group very well. So I'm delighted for him as a friend and a teammate.
Thank you very much.
Hi, can I just ask, how over the last few months was there a moment that you thought with the injuries that you worked with to make the tour, how difficult was that mentally?
You don't know really, is the truth. There wasn't a big bang that went, and it was like you're out here for 6 months and you're trying to scramble back. They're all kind of short-term injuries, and you're always trying to get back for this game or that game. And I suppose I was fully invested in the end of the season with Leinster and club, so it wasn't never a feeling of you wouldn't get back fit for something. It's more a feeling of would you get picked, have you done enough, etc.
You have this very hard record.
Say that, yeah, I would. Is it something that motivates me at the minute? No. I think obviously after the result last weekend, we're quite ploughing straight ahead for this Saturday, and so it's just about trying to get my best out into the pitch and trying to get result with the lads.
You watched Dan come through, at what point did you realise this big kid, he kind of wasn't mapped in the same way Roman maybe it was going to be a big player for Leinster, or would be a leader as well for teams?
I don't know exactly what point. I remember him kind of being in the academy, and he broke his jaw. Didn't he break? He broke his jaw, I think, and maybe broke some part of his face. And he was big. He was a big old hooker, and I remember him coming into a few scrum sessions, and just like he's tall, like, so it's hard to find your slot, what's comfortable, what works for him, and how does this all work out for him. And then it's just exploded for him. And when you see him play, and you're, who the hell is this guy? He's a freak. So I'm not sure at what point, but when he came onto the scene, quick.
You just watching the mini doc, you're obviously a big voice in this group, and you want to get you mentioned last week about your own leadership qualities. So I presume you're someone who's there to support him if he needs it this week as well.
Yeah, look, I don't think he needs any support is the first thing, but I think maybe that's the kind of environment Andy tries to create anyway, that it's all spread out amongst the squad. And I think the thing about the Lions is there's so many different, there's club captains, there's country captains, there's people who've been around the game a long time, and I don't think there's any lack of leadership in the thing.
Just how tough was that last couple of months of the season post Northampton, kind of being on that bench and not getting off the bench that night, and then not being able to play a role for next year in the last 3 years of the season?
Yeah, tough, because we still would, as the weeks went on, we still thought we had a fighting chance for getting back for some of them games at the end of the season. And it just wasn't right. Not that we got a setback around, but it just wasn't tracking in the right direction, and it would have been very risky to chance something. So as desperate you are to try to get on the pitch, you also can't have a situation where you're not in a position to really push, or you might have to come on or come off early. And so in some ways you can live with yourself because you're doing everything you can, and we were doing everything we could to try to get back out there. But when you can't, you can't, and you're just there to support the boys. And I was delighted, as any of them were, to win the final.
Last Friday night, it looked like that patience that you showed paid off, because it looked like you were able to hit the ground running.
Yeah. Like Emma Galvin's does the physio in Leinster with me, and I suppose unfortunately I have a lot of experience of having to lay off and come back into the game, but she's able to work with me with my rehab run, a little bit of contact condition with Shawnee O'Brien, where I can go out to like an international game or a big game and feel like my legs are good and my lungs are good. And I suppose knowing you've done that in the past and you can trust that work, it leaves you to be a little bit free and to go out there and play ball.
Ty, speaking to the air yesterday, you mentioned how as a squad you spoke about the need to find the performance. Yes, you've got quite a few tour games, but this has to come together in a pretty short space of time for the test series. Is there a pressure that you guys feel that comes with that?
Well, there's pressure from to who or what, or like there's individual pressure that you got to perform, and there's squad pressure that we want to put our best out there because we're representing the Lions. I think that's normal. We're trying to get a group from 4 countries here to play a certain way in a certain system, and like I know some of the Irish systems in terms of a little bit attack and defence, and I know the time it takes to get that, and then there's the other side of it where you're dealing with high quality international players, and you can just see that it's just chugging up every day. We're getting there, we're clicking, and so we're just in that kind of like big learning growth spurt phase at the minute, and we're looking forward to seeing what it looks like the weekend.
And what's as somebody who's been on a couple of tours before, what's your role in those conversations to kind of say to the guys, this will come together, or do you not always?
No, I don't think there's any need to say that yet. It's just trying to get everyone online, so it looks right, it feels right, more importantly, out there.
And just finally, for me, the Scrum's an area in Argentina that I imagine you guys are pretty happy with. What's kind of been the review there as a scrummaging unit?
Yeah, like I thought the boys did unbelievable, especially the first half. They really got us like a good, strong foothold in the game with some of the penalties they won. Obviously, you're changing combinations the whole time, so it's like you're attacking defence. It's just trying to get what is this common language we can find here in the early days of the tour that make it work for us. So it's just about that, trying to get out on paper again, and it's been really good the week. The scrummage has been really good all week.
Sorry, I know I said final one, just one more.
Yeah, it's fine.
A lot of people might view it perhaps naively that, well, it's the front row, different guys might come in, but you bind up and...
Yeah.
Can you talk us through the actual what is the actual challenge? How difficult can it be with getting that relationship in the front row with those guys?
Yeah. It's just a feel. You know what I mean? You want to feel $1 million when you go down, you want to feel $1 million when you bind. So everything is automatic. As soon as something feels off, it goes off in your head and you're trying to override, you're straight into override. And it happens like this. And you just think of the amount of connections in the scrum. So tie head is onto a hooker with shoulder and arm. Hookers on both people, loose head, shoulder and arm. Then you have second rows coming in, 2 points of contact with the three of them. So, like, there's just so many touch points in the scrum, and then you're scrummaging with people with different methods than you're used to, and it's just about trying to get that so it just all feels right. It's a lot of small conversations, nothing insurmountable, but it's just trying to get on the same page.
Thank you.
Time into the Western Force at the end, a pretty decent squad for Sam. We find important are these more games than the lines, rather like the Argentina, you face a challenge, a tough challenge, so when you get into the test matches, the squad are battle on.
Absolutely. I think it's great that they've named a good side, because do you know, if I was a Western Force player, I'd love to play. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to try to play in the test games as well, and it's great, and we want to play as good as rugby as you can, and it's for the better.
There's kind of a sense that you guys, the Irish continue to have a bit of a head start, and the vast majority of coaches, the game plan. But does that also bring with it a bit of expectation that you guys perform straight away, that's leeway for kind of catching up a little bit?
Within the systems and stuff, yeah, I'd say so. It's not. I'd say it's an expectation from ourselves. You know what I mean? We've no excuses in some respects in terms of some of the structures that are in place there.
You were all helping the other lads as well.
And look, I think the coaches have done a great job coaching it. Of course, the players can pick up on stuff or have small conversations or watch training with others, but it's our job to play rugby as well as not to coach.
Okay, guys.
Okay, thank you. Cheers, lads.